Smoke, soot and a blaze that took days to contain. On your screens is dramatic video from Himachal Pradesh's Solan district, specifically around Kasauli. What's usually a cool summer retreat for tourists became an inferno after a massive fire spread through the forest. This is not an isolated incident, as parts of North India, including Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, have been witnessing a series of forest fire outbreaks this season. Hundreds of such incidents have already been reported, leading to large-scale damage and scorching thousands of hectares of forest land, raising serious concerns over the environmental impact these fires will bring about. Hello and welcome to Deep Dive. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and across India and the world, wildfires are becoming more frequent, intense and destructive. So today we ask, why are our forests burning so often? Early summer, especially from March to June, dry winds and heat turn these forests into tinder boxes. In Himachal, over 1,600 fires were reported in 2024 from April onwards, with similar surges in Uttarakhand. Pine forests dominate here. Their resin-rich needles burn hot and fast, and dry leaf litter on the floor acts like fuel waiting for a spark globally. The picture is alarming. Forest fires now burn more than twice as much tree cover as they did 20 years ago. Extreme wildfire activity has more than doubled in many regions. In 2024, fires burned vast areas, one of the worst years on record, releasing massive carbon emissions that worsen the very problem driving them. India is not immune either. Fire alerts have risen sharply in several states, with Himalayan regions like Himachal and Uttarakhand often ranking among the highest for incidents. So why this surge is the big question? Well, experts point to a dangerous mix of human activity and changing climate. Nearly 90% of fires in these forests are linked to people. Careless campfires, discarded cigarettes or unattended torches can ignite dry grass in seconds. In the foothills of the Himalayas in Himachal Pradesh, villagers sometimes set controlled or intentional fires to clear undergrowth. After burning, fresh grass sprouts quickly, making it easier for cattle to graze. This traditional method can help in the short term for livestock, but often escapes control, especially in windy, dry conditions, and spreads into larger forest areas. Similar practices like shifting cultivation in other regions add to the risk. The amplifier, however, remains climate change. Rising temperatures, prolonged dry spells, erratic rainfall and heat waves are making forests more flammable. Warmer nights prevent fires from dying down. Earlier, snow melt in the Himalayas and lower soil moisture created perfect conditions for rapid spread. Climate change has lengthened fire seasons and intensified fire weather. Hot, dry, windy days in pine-dominated areas, this is especially dangerous. Resin-filled needles and accumulated dead wood turn small sparks into raging fires that are hard to fight on steep slopes. Apart from that, decades of fire suppression in some areas have led to fuel buildup. Dense undergrowth that was historically managed by occasional natural or controlled burns. Strong winds and difficult terrain in the hills make containment tough once a fire starts. The videos on your screens are enough to gauge the seriousness. What was a green stretch of land just a month ago, with trees posing for a heavenly image, now looks charred with only little proof of the life that flourished in the greenery. Beyond charred landscapes, the consequences cascade. Biodiversity suffers as habitats burn and species struggle to recover in altered ecosystems. Soil erosion on slopes increases landslide risks during monsoons. Air quality plummets, affecting health far beyond the hills. Local economies tied to tourism, horticulture and forestry take hits. Repeated fires can shift forest composition permanently towards more pine, eroding ecological resilience. The challenge becomes even more daunting because many of these Himalayan fire zones, including areas around Kasauli, lack nearby water bodies. Rivers and natural water sources often lie far down in valleys, while the fires rage on upper slopes. Without local moisture barriers or immediate water access, fires burn hotter, spread faster and remain active longer. Dry pine forests with no natural fire breaks turn into self-sustaining infernos, and in the recent blaze, this limitation was clearly visible. With steep inaccessible terrain preventing easy ground access to water, the Indian Air Force stepped in with a major aerial operation. The Mi-17 V5 helicopter, supported by Chinooks, conducted relentless Bambi bucket missions, repeatedly flying to Sukhna Lake in Chandigarh, roughly 25 to 30 kilometers away, to scoop up thousands of liters of water each time. Over multiple sorties, the IAF dropped more than 62,000 liters of water, and these precision drops targeted active fire lines, helping cool hotspots and slow the blazes' advance towards the Air Force Station, heritage trails, and residential areas. It's clear now that these forest fires are neither caused by one particular reason, nor do they affect one species or ecological factors. Addressing this requires moving beyond blame games. So, what are the steps that we can take to control such fires before they engulf our forests? Well, we can start with fuel management, systematic removal or controlled utilization of pine needles, creation of fire breaks, and strategic thinning of the forest will help ensure that regardless of how harsh the wind is or how dry the environment is, a fire, if started, does not spread. This cannot be done by the authorities alone. Community involvement is equally as important, if not more. Empowering local forest panchayats and villages with training, incentives, and early warning roles revives traditional knowledge while providing livelihoods. Informing villagers of the repercussions of the jhum farming culture will, of course, be a key step. Technology and preparedness can also play a huge part in addressing these fires. Satellite monitoring, AI-driven risk mapping, and better weather forecasting are always through which technology can be used to track weather changes as well as any fires to stop them at the root. The government can also take extra measures like policy integration for linking fire management to climate adaptation, tourism regulation, and rural development to reduce ignition sources. Forest fires in the Himalayas are not inevitable. They result from the interplay of flammable landscapes shaped by past policies, everyday human actions, and a warming climate that loads the dice against us. Understanding these drivers is the first step towards smarter, more resilient forests and a cooler, safer future for these vital mountain ecosystems. Kavita Ashok, environmentalist, joins us on the program to talk more about this. Kavita ji, appreciate you being over here. Well, we know the root cause of the problem. We know the solution as well. The solutions will become redundant if the root cause is addressed. Why is it not being done?
See, firstly, I feel that we cannot solve the wildfire problems, the forest fires on our own because it is also very, climate change related. So let us accept the fact that it is man cannot handle it 100%. But there are measures which we collectively, as you just said, with the government, with the forest, department, can collectively seek for answers. So I'd like to just suggest some, solutions. Firstly, would be that we have better forest management, more compatibility of understanding for the reasons why wildfires are, throughout. You see Himachal, Uttarakhand, these zones are, we see rapid fires every year, very repetitive, and also in parts of MP and Orissa, a bit lower down in the south, we see wildfires, not only in the Himalayas. So we must be lacking somewhere. So I guess that we need planned winter burning of the dry leaves and the pine cones collection and dispersal, because once the dry grass is left on the floor of the forest, so when there is heat or when there is a little spark or carelessness by people living in the forest, it could just be a left out BD or a cigarette, it can just ignite and become into a big fire. So I guess firstly we need to plan when there should be planned burning of this dry grass or dry uh, remains of the dry leaves. And secondly, I guess that AI is becoming very handy in everything now in technology, you see. So there is also AI heat detection now is possible, so which can be included in our policies, and it should be implemented, I think, already in the Indian system for prevention of wildfires. If we haven't done it now, we should bring it in. Then drones are being used already, satellite help in detecting where there is potential for more wildfire, because the more the dryness, the more the the carelessness of the people, of course we will have wildfires every year, very repetitive. Then there are watchtowers, there are local teams. We also need to build in community awareness. See, first thing is, man is extending, we are pushing the forest, and we are getting into the depth. Every year we are stepping into the forest. So what we are doing is, people are careless about how they are living, how they are burning fires or disposing the garbage. So sometime or the other there is some negligence and a fire breaks out. I have myself seen twice in Uttarakhand. When I was visiting, in front of me I could see smoke rising, and it all came down to somebody's negligence. Even sometimes the security or the forest guards can be negligent. So it has to be totally monitored.
All right.
Then I also feel that we need to train people. We need volunteers. If in case of a wildfire breakout, what should be the first steps to do? Whom to inform? How to help? Where are the water bodies? Everything. We need more knowledge. Everyone should be prepared instead of all hell break loose when the wildfire is breaking.
Kavita ji, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for those insights. We'll take a short break. Be right back.